It's so dumb. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Crowdfunding Countdown. We're going to take a look at every single board game campaign, finishing up in the next week. I don't need these. That was for something different. I just need to be here with you all, my lovely people. And we're going to get into it. Now, this week, I might stop a little bit early. Usually I go until the next Tuesday. But because we're nearing the end of the year, I want to make sure that there is something for next week's episode. And I think there are a lot of the games are finishing on that specific Tuesday. So I think if I don't do the Tuesday, we'll see when we get to there. But I'm probably not going to go until Tuesday. So we're going to miss things like Revenant. And I think there's a Key Forge. We'll deal with those next week. But we still have some pretty good stuff to look at this week. Before we begin, I do want to give a shout out to one of my patrons, Nathaniel. Thank you so much for jumping on board. I don't think I gave you an official shout out. And I have been spanking my bottom raw ever since I realized that. Usually I keep them in my inbox. If I missed you, I'm sorry. If I didn't, well, you get a second one because I just love ya. Like all of my patrons, thanks to my patrons who support the channel. Thanks to everybody who likes and subscribes. Keeps this channel going so that I can have something to work on to keep me busy in the lonely, dark hours of the night. So let's get into it. I'm here in my official, expensive studio. I've taken your redecoration advices. And believe me, I think it's as funny as you do. But let's start out not with lore. Unfortunately, lore did the $1 pre-pledge, apparently. I think it did. Didn't say it worked with Launch Boom, but I don't like anybody who does the $1 pre-pledge. It's just a practice that I don't really like to do, so I don't look at it. But I will look at other things that don't do that, including this one, Journey of Shining Gems, D&D-based card duel adventure. Well, maybe, I don't know, we're going to find out together. Let's embark on the magical adventure, Journey of Shining Gems, inspired by D&D. Are you ready to ignite the dream of adventure? I sure am. These 18 backers sure are. Well, I don't know about this, but hey, let's look at it because I'm much more interested than the previous one or the one that's coming immediately after. So let's go. I'm dazzled in 5 minus 15 minutes, not 5 to 15. This definitely is an AI voice. Defeat your FOs and savor the joy of victory. Okay, let's see what this is. Indie designers in Hong Kong. Limited edition, only 100 sets being produced. Funds will help create the game. You got a Ranger Dog deck, which is 13 cards. A Wizard Cat deck, which is 13 cards. 20 adventure cards, 2 blessings, some treasure cards. 120 Hong Kong, we'll go with dollars, it's a dollar symbol. 22 Canadian, that's like 15 US. I like that this campaign page is just dedicated to the gameplay, though. That's quite nice. AI art, for those of you who want to know, as in their disclaimer here. Players choose a character along with their character-specific deck to embark on an adventure to obtain gems. By utilizing the character-specific deck and combining different spells, players compete each round to acquire gems based upon the skill values of the sword and or book. Draw 4 cards. On your turn, you draw 1 card. 6 adventure cards are revealed for 6 turns of competition. You play the biggest card, probably. You choose a card to challenge. You'll decide if you follow that chosen adventure. Oh, and you put them all face down. So you're going face down, and then you flip some stuff up and things happen. You want to get the most gems after 2 rounds wins. There's also these lock cards, which then can give you a bonus, and presumably you can then use that bonus and apply them as like one-time abilities, I'd assume. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem that good, to be honest. Sorry about it. It just doesn't seem really that interesting at all. It doesn't have shipping on it. Well, it ships only to certain countries. So yeah, no, it does have shipping on it. 70, so it would be $35 to get 2 decks, which I think they're doing it probably on as cheap as they can. I like that they've hit their little goal. They'll use the money to develop it a little bit more, maybe make it a little bit exciting, but nothing here really draws me in, unfortunately. But if you're interested, the finish is Wednesday, December 4th at 11:11 a.m. We're not moving on to Sea Beasts, Vikings versus Beasts, because, again, that used the $1 pre-pledge. And we're not interested in providing free coverage for those sorts of games. But we are going to move on to Onoda by Salt and Pepper. Onoda's Jungle Odyssey relive a fascinating 30-year adventure of survival, duty, and unbelievable twists. Okay, so 30th anniversary, maybe? No, 25. Doesn't say it's a invitation. That just might be, you just have to relive a fascinating 30-year adventure of survival in it. But it's a new game. Okay. The fascinating story of Hiru Onoda, I guess it's Onoda, right? Onoda? Probably Onoda. Was deployed during the Philippine island of Lubang, Lubang, I would guess, tasked with conducting guerrilla operations against the Allied forces. What follows was an unbelievable saga of unwavering loyalty, isolation, and perseverance that shocked the world. The story of a man who spent 30 years living in the jungles of Lubang, conducting sporadic raids, and refusing to believe that World War II had ended. Yikes. Area movement, scenario game, hand management, solo adventure, push your luck, storytelling. It's only for one player? Only for one player. What have you done? Oh, Conservice, yeah, Witchcraft, okay. Resist, Battle for Versailles. Yeah, they've done a bunch. I should have known from the art. Or the name. Also the name. Played in 6 rounds unless you lose your health or your mind, and the game ends sooner. You've already lost your mind because you're continuing the war for 30 years. At the beginning of the round, draw the first mission card from the mission deck. This is your objective this round. Actions. You can perform and repeat as many actions as you like, but keep in mind that every time you perform an action, you must add an alarm token. So you can move, adding an alarm to the place that you move to. You can raid. You can get rice, your main sustenance for living on the island. To perform a raid, you need to perform an alarm check. So presumably you roll, you draw from a bag to make sure that you can, you don't draw a number lower than the number of alarms that are there because they're on the lookout for you. Repair. You can activate an object. You have to do an alarm check as well. Accomplish mission. If Onoda or Onoda is in a region with the mission marker, you can try to perform the accomplished mission. Pass an alarm check. Everything is passing an alarm check. You want to do something, you got to always do an alarm check. Every time you want to do one of these, equal to the number of alarm tokens in the region, you need to extract a resource. Resolution token from the bag, check the resolution side. The value is higher than the alarm level you've passed. Yeah, that's what we thought. Otherwise, you lose health or gain paranoia points. So 2 is drawn, there's 2 alarms, boom, boom. In a little push your luck game, each time you perform an action, other than moving, you have to draw an event card. It shows you a few of the events. It's like activate certain buildings, drop in the bag, success, do this. So you're just pulling from the bag pretty consistently saying, hey, did this work? Did this work? Did this work? Is the war over yet? Is the war over yet? It's 22 euros, 32 Canadian, 33 Canadian, really. I'll look at the rulebook. That felt pretty comprehensive. That was a really nice how-to-play section, although there are 32 pages of rulebook. The key to it all was a Japanese word, shogunai, which means something similar to what can you do? Shows a philosophy of life based upon accepting the manifestation of destiny as something over which we cannot control. That does not mean to adopt a passive attitude, however, quite the opposite. Who we are is defined by how much we react to such events and how much we strive to overcome them. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's a real wild story. I think I knew it at some point, but man, worth reading just the historical breakdown and the design notes. Oh, you'll have companions as well. You'll have some objects as well that can help you. Activating or deactivating an object is a representation when you used your military equipment excessively or put it at risk. They're like, yeah, you want to complete 6 missions. You don't really have to complete them. I mean, you just have to survive. Yeah, each thing is simple. Have a certain item, deactivate a companion, pass a certain check, and then just using these events to your benefit or fighting against them. Yeah, it seems all right. Shipping to Spain is €5. Shipping to the USA is €14. Shipping to Canada is €20. So basically doubles it for me. So it's not 32. It would be $60 for me. I don't know. It's a simple little push your luck game as you move around. It doesn't really draw me in that much, but I think that's a lot to do with, I like pushing my luck with other people around, you know? Pushing my luck solo, I push my luck every day by myself alone. How much work are we going to accomplish today? But if you're interested in that, the finish is on the 5th at 10 a.m., the 5th being Thursday. Also finishing Thursday, this is World Order, which has almost broken 1 million Canadian, shape international relations and lead global powers to dominance in an area control board game from the creators of Hegemony. Now, Hegemony is doing still very well on Board Game Geek. It is broken into the Board Game Geek Top 100. It is insanely complex. It is a complex game with 4 different factions: the working class, capitalists, the government, and I don't know, somebody else, the tyrants. That's not it. So I imagine this will be equally as complicated. I imagine this will be all I get to for the rest of the episode. But we're gonna take a deep dive into it and see what it's got going on. Plays in 2 to 3 hours. I know Hegemony takes 3 to 4, I'd say. So maybe it's a little bit less. Who knows? Let's see. Let's check it out. This recreates the global situation in the 2010s when apparently the US was losing its power and other countries were on the rise. Who's won? Has that resolved yet? Somebody please tell me if that's resolved. I certainly recognize US losing its power. That's pretty evident. Just kidding. USA! USA! No, change your Thanksgiving date. Then we'll have a conversation. All right. From the video, though, it looks like there might be less asymmetry than Hegemony, which I think is a good thing for people who want to ever get this to the table. Although the basic pledge, nice. €55, 59. That's pretty good. I mean, again, that still means it's $100 for me in Canada. Yeah, 81 and then plus shipping for sure. But that feels nice. I do like that. Total future MSRP, €100. Total future MSRP and total savings are calculated based upon estimated future cost of that material. So just with the stretch goals of this estimated future MSRP, so you probably will be able to get the base game without the stretch goals cheaper, what that means. But maybe, like, I'm not quite sure in terms of how... It's interesting when a company gets a hit, right? How much do they break into local stores? How much possibility do you have to get it at retail? Gemini, regular price $99, special price $80. It's out of stock at Miniature Market. Game Nerds, is that the one? See, I just do all my shopping in, well, nowhere. But also in Canada. Gemini, yeah, $71.47 at Game Nerds. Plus a ding and dent for 55. Nice. Yeah, just hope that things get smashed up. You're going to be the US, Russia, or Europe. The EU. The EU that has Britain in it because they hadn't left yet. Oh, the good old days. Okay, it does seem like there is high asymmetry here, though, with these little breakdowns of the federations. Let's see how to play. Use diplomacy to improve... This isn't going to tell me anything I already know. This is just going to be the buzzwords. Invest financially in large-scale projects. Move cubes onto the board. Build bases and put those onto the board. Engage diplomatically with your allies and put more cubes on the board. No, this isn't going to tell me anything. Concepts. Oh, you get an entire book of concepts. I think they did this in Hegemony as well, which I thought was really cool. That idea of the theory behind it. Clearly, these people are very interested in the political landscape. They're very interested in games that have commentary upon how we run our world and how large superpowers engage with one another and don't care about the little people. So I think that's really neat. I think it's really neat when large corporations and or countries don't care about the little people. You know, I think it's real neat when they say that they'll care about the little people and then, oops, they don't. Who could have predicted that? That's my required political discourse for you all. I mean, it's the truth. It really is. But I gotta do it to show you that I know what's up. Good rule of thumb for politics. It's pretty simple. Have all the power and money? Probably not good for you. Don't have all the power and money? Better make sure that they don't want all the power and money, but probably better for you. Okay, click here to download the rules of World Order. It's a work in progress. Let's see what we got. Only 18 pages? That feels great. I was expecting 107. The same with Hegemony. If you're playing with fewer than 4 players, shuffle the auto-influence cards, draw 2 of them, and place them above the main board. For every roll that's not taken by an actual player, place influence cubes of their color next to the roll's flag, as well as any army tokens indicated on the card. So there's a good automated system. I think people have enjoyed the solo mode of Hegemony. Oh, no, yeah. I mean, I guess not recommended. Not recommended at solo for Hegemony. So if you're a solo player, it is not recommended that you get it. It is recommended best at 4 because everybody's playing their own class. That makes sense. Play it at 4 players, which makes sense, and I feel like it'll likely be a similar thing with this. So that's just an important thing to take with a grain of salt when you're thinking about purchasing it. How often do you have that full contingent? How much do you like automated players? That will consistently happen. Will that automation be satisfying if not regularly getting 4 people to the table? Okay, let's go. It's a tough night to focus, but we gotta focus on something. So let's choose our focus. Let's choose to focus on this instead of things we can't control. Gameplay is over 6 rounds. Each round is divided into phases: preparation phase, action phase, aftermath. Through your actions, you place influence cubes in various regions on the board, which grant you victory points. In addition, you gain victory points based upon who has the most influence in each region. Okay, so main area control elements there. Place cubes in specific spots, and also place cubes. In addition, you gain victory points based upon who has the most influence in each region during the game's 2 scoring intervals. So time out when to put your victory points down. At the end of the 6th round, the player with the most victory points wins. That seems fairly simple. All around getting these cubes onto the board. That's a nice, succinct explanation. It's also a deck builder, it was saying, so you're going to have 6 cards in your hand. Fewest victory points always gets first player. That's a nice leveler or balancing aspect. Catch-up mechanic. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm searching for. And then you also are going to choose your focus. Oh, they already said where you're going to focus on: domestic, diplomatic, or military focus. But they say come back to this section once you know what everything else does. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know what the focuses are yet, but I'm sure it will make sense as we go to the action phase, where most of the game takes place. Like most games, you play cards from your hands to affect the board and pursue your agenda. You can then add new cards to your deck if you like. You choose one of your cards in your hand, you play that card in front of you, and apply its effect. Do as much as you can. You can play whatever card you want, but hopefully you can do all the actions on it. You can also place strategic asset cards, which I guess we'll find out what those do. And you can also get a loan, essentially. Place a card down in front of you, get 10 coins. So not really a loan because you don't have to pay it back. You just get money. But you still have to burn a card. Once all players have played 4 actions, then you go to the research step. So you get 4 actions a turn, 24 actions essentially. Cool, you can improve relations. Essentially, you're building a tableau of symbols of what you can do in that country. These are trade symbols, so this is what you can get in trade. This is also how you can add influence to the country, by exhausting the cards, rather than, I presume, exhausting them to do its trade action. And you have to pay a cost based upon a symbol on that card. But some countries don't allow players to improve relations with them, such as the US, for example, cannot improve relations with Iran. Cool. So diplomatic is not easily, but putting your influence on a certain region by improving relations with that region. Neat. Trade. When you perform this action, you can perform a number of export and import actions, so basically selling and buying. The exact number is listed on your trade policy card. You can perform 2 and 2, generally. China can perform more. To perform an export, you choose a resource, count the number of times it appears on your allied countries, regardless if they're ready or exhausted. Okay, cool. You can sell that many copies of that resource. To perform an import, choose a resource, count the many times it appears, with the arrow pointing towards you. So there's specific ones, like you can see here. That's the export, this is the import, right? That seems like pretty simple iconography. You can buy that many copies of that resource, but you still have to buy them, you don't get them for free. But everything costs you less to import than to export, presuming that you're exporting things that people really want, I guess. And you can also get resources from other players, which is kind of neat. Also, in the economic vein of actions of what you can do, you can invest. You choose a ready allied country in front of you, exhaust it, turn it face down, pay the amount of money listed on the top of the card, place a foreign direct investment FDI token above the country as a reminder, and you add 1 influence to that country's region. Okay, so you can get influence through investing as well. You can get influence through diplomatic, you can get influence through economic. I presume you can get influence with the other ones as well. So every action type will have a way to use that action type to get you influence, allowing you to streamline. But there's also the specific action that you may need to dabble a little bit more, a little bit less, depending upon your strategy, I suppose. Next, we have the military. Move your army, choose your army tokens, move it to a region in your zone of interest, showing your flag in a small circle, or where you have a military base. Pay $5 for every time you move an army, or if you're allied with a country that has a military base symbol, you can build a military base on them. These little military bases on that specific thing. So you're putting all these little tokens on your own tableau of cards to show, yeah, I've done this, I've built here, and then you move things on the main board in terms of flow. And yes, of course, you add influence when you build military bases. That makes sense. And then finally, domestic. This is your own stuff, the inner workings of your own country. You choose your available growth cards. You pay its cost, the resources. Oh, and this is how you get extra special asymmetric abilities as well. You're investing in yourself, your own tech, by paying costs and getting victory points. This, I feel like, is going to be the heart of the game. These are your objectives, right? You're going to be using these objectives, getting these objectives to help you diversify yourself, get more asymmetry, get more cool powers. Interesting. You can also produce. You can choose any of the 7 available resources. You gain as much as your production is at. But there's a difference between primary resources and secondary resources, the secondary being the things that affect the influence, and the primary, I think, being kind of oil, rock, and wheat. I also believe those are produced at the very beginning, but I'll scroll back in a second to see. Interesting. And in most spaces, there are permanent influences, and then there are secondary, temporary influence. So you can push people out still and shake things up, but if you lock down the influence up top, you've got a more permanent influence there. I like that idea. That's neat. And whatever cards you keep, you gain the bonus, and you gain the amount of research shown, which is purchase power. So like another deck builder. You're not going to do that much deck building. You only have 6 rounds. How many cards do you start in your starting hand, your starting deck? So you get 6 cards to start. I just want to see how much cycle. 12 starting ability cards, 12 for each player. So you're going to get 2 rounds where you see your first stuff, and then you've got, if you add 2 every time, that's an additional 8. So you'll see your new ones maybe twice. I guess that's significant. They also said that you might get to play more cards too, so, or you might have more cards, like there are abilities that let you draw more cards. So presumably the deck building aspect will be there. Oh, cool. And then you're choosing your focus. So I don't think you have domestic, diplomatic, or military. I don't think that it will prevent you from doing other things, but it will give you a special bonus if you take actions of that thing. So you're probably telegraphing to the world, yeah, I'm going to go pretty heavy on military this round. The auto influence will just add influence to stuff. All right. And then finally, there's a resolve threat. So you just get money at the end of the round. And then if there's a military presence of their opponents in your zone of interest, you lose 2 victory points for every other player who has more armies than you in there. So you can make people lose stuff. Note that if you have military focus wherever you have armies, you get +1 to your threat. Look at that. Rounds 3 and 6, you score victory points down below. Yeah. That seems a lot less complicated than Hegemony. And I think it is very, very good that it is a lot less complicated, because I think Hegemony is one of those games where I'll play it once, I'll never play it again. I know that. I'll try it, I'll get the full teach, I'll learn what all the factions do, and I'll never have the time or the people who are willing to commit to that amount of time to play. I just won't. Here, seems like a fun little area control game with adding your influence. I like that you can add influence in pretty much whatever path you're taking. I think slight build on the card market will be fun. I think this is going to be a game that will succeed with a lot of direct player interaction, with a lot of like aggressive players. Even though there is that's only a fourth of the game, right? The military presence feels significant to me, not just because that was the last rule that I read in terms of losing points. Everything else gets you more points. Like domestic gets you a lot more points. Focusing on increasing your own influence gets you a lot more points. Like military just feels like a threat. And I think that's pretty thematic in this, that, 2010, not everybody was going to war, but there were threats. And there were threats moving around. And so it's all about kind of pushing those threats just a bit and trying to develop your economy in the process. I'm not completely sold. I don't know if I would reach for this over other area control games. The deck building feels fun. The influence feels simple enough to comprehend. It almost, the way the influence cubes interact, it kind of feels a bit like Trois, or Troyas, as I like to call it, if you're nasty. It just when you're battling the cards at the bottom, I don't know, maybe it's just because I played that recently, but I feel like that similar tension will be there, because it's not a whole part of the game. It's something you can kind of engage with, or just engage with your own economy. So maybe that's a good representation of how the military will feel, is my bet. What's shipping? Shipping to the EU is 16 for the basic pledge, 18 for the gameplay pledge. There is a new, what is in this expansion? The World in Turmoil adds to the game actual events that took place since 2010, allowing the players to not only see their effect on global relations, but to get the chance to prevent them. Will you allow for Brexit to happen? Could tensions in the Ukraine have been avoided? Yikes. Consists of 50 event cards, 50 cubes in 5 colors, 10 small cards. Not selling me on a €15 uptick. I don't think so. Maybe I just want to avoid turmoil. Doesn't feel like that's the most exciting part. I mean, I'm sure, yeah, everybody's upsold themselves, but I don't see it. I don't really see it that much. Anyway, shipping to the United States is €20 or 23 for the regional power. €14 to the UK, €26 to get to Canada. So again, yeah, I knew this would be a $110 game to me. Not quite sold on it. Seems neat. Probably would be fun. Definitely like that it would play slowly. Conquering or allying with specific countries is going to be the draw here. Feeling good to ally and to chain those allies together and get that like little section of the board that you control or are your main allies, and you can kind of risk it up in Australia. Yeah, so a lot there on World Order, but hey, check it out if you're interested. The finish is Thursday, December 5th at 1 p.m. Okay, we're back. We're here with Lands of Evershade, which, if you're back during the campaign, this is their little promo. You get the exclusive Looter Rotling for free. That's a new character. And you get the standee or the mini as well. If you haven't seen it, I did a 5 reasons you shouldn't back on this, where I do more of a deep dive into this game and what they have put forward right now. There's a lot of keywords. There's a lot of choose your own adventure storytelling, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of combat. If you're interested in combat, most of the reviews are like, hey, well, you can get through a whole chapter without fighting anything. And that's fine. I think it's all based around that kind of keyword system and about that storytelling. And that's why I think it is also going to be better with fewer players. You get a number of these little mini adventures, 10 to 15 hours, I guess, which aren't that many, but they're 4 to 5 sessions, depending upon how long your play sessions are. And what I want to do right now is just kind of look at the stretch goals that have been unlocked. An additional class. You create the Shruix character that gets added to the handbook. It's all about creating that that character element, and I think that's a value add, that you can play as a different class, a different character that kind of starts to go outside the mold of what the typical D&D archetypes are. Same with this, a new origin, Fadeborn. So just unlocking all these things that were going to be unlocked anyway. We're clearly going to be in the book. They feel like the least stretch goals that are out there. They're like, yeah, we just didn't tell you there were these characters, but we're telling you now. A nice bag added to it, a new profession, the Moongazer Paladin, new origins, Kestrel's Chosen, cool. New follower, Arena the Mage, new stuff. I just love, they're like, new stuff. Support Magic Tree, Variety Pack, and app. That is nice that they have voiceover for the app, and that's been unlocked. Usually that is an add-on. That is nice, especially because it's going to be a lot of story, and if you don't want to read that story yourself, well, now you can have somebody read it to you. Lorekeeper Bard, Trained, Fade Array. So all of these things are great, but they don't necessarily convince me to back. Like, it's just more of what you want. So if you were already excited about this game, I'm sure this is going to make you a little bit more excited. If you weren't, there's nothing here that makes it kind of worthwhile to me to take the plunge. And I guess you get a new adventure day 3. So the benefit of the stretch goals is you get an additional adventure, right? You get 10 to 15 extra content, 100 pages of additional content. This I see as being a draw, but I don't know if it's enough of a draw, again, to, if you're on the fence, right? If you're not on the fence and you're sure you're going to love this game, great. You'll get it. You'll have more than you'll get through. I'm just thinking in terms of Aetherfields, I still haven't hit the stretch goals for Aetherfields, nonetheless, the additional all-in content that I decided to get. And so I find that these things can really kind of promote that we go all in and we get them, and they sometimes don't deliver, or we just don't have the time to get to them, because that's certainly something for me as well. Some additional followers, progress paths, new app function. No, it isn't. If you're doing an app, you're doing an app. The Barbarian profession. Again, a lot of these little followers, a lot of these things that don't really add that much, that will not be separate from the retail, right? It'll just be these additional stretch goals. They're not going to not put the stuff with the Barbarian in the book if you get it at retail, right? But you do get some additional scenarios, which is nice. And I like that there are so many different classes, because that makes it fun. That makes it, you have a glut of choices to choose from, which is great. Yeah, it's still a lot though. 169, 170 Canadian for the special edition with the minis and with the save system, which I just feel is so necessary, but maybe not. Maybe you can undersell yourself. I was kind of recommending the special edition in the 5 reasons you shouldn't back. I think there's probably a way, like I wouldn't want to pay $50, $60, an additional $60 for storage. I think you could spend less later on for storage and be fine, right? So you could get it for $112 and then plus shipping. Shipping is expensive. You're doing a single wave, even still $29 to Canada. So again, $150, $200 minimum for this game. I just would rather read a book. I'd rather just read a book. But if you're interested, that finishes on the 5th at 2 p.m. Moving along to this one, I'm going to look at this, even though it feels like it very much feels like it's going to be a big old war game. I'm just going to glance at this. I don't feel like I'll do a deep dive on this one, unless it seems accessible to me and applicable to the Eurogamer Ameritrash gamer. Battle Commander, Volume 1. Napoleon's Italian Campaigns. Doesn't even describe what it is, because they're like, listen, if you're looking at this game, you know what it is. You know what it is, and you know if you're the target audience. Its intent is to recreate historical 18th to 19th century battles. It features a fresh framework focused on providing 2 key aspects: command decision, and maximum playability. In Battle Commander, you struggle against the chaos of battle, making meaningful high-level decisions, not micromanaging your troops. That's the Colonel's job. Colonel's job, sorry. Good card play is paramount for battle success, but make no mistake, it's not card-driven, but card-enhanced game. Cube pull activation is used to manage game phases. Movement, combat, rally, card draws, etc., and cards for the interactive combat system and events, allowing for a myriad of possibilities and solitaire-friendly gaming. No dice, no complex odds counting, no markers, no play down times, no sure thing. Morale and troop skill are a core mechanic. Demoralizing the enemy goes a long way towards winning the fight. With armies slowly degrading in performance until the breaking point. That's pretty funny. It's not a war of muscle, but a war of will. What makes Battle Commander unique and exciting wargaming experience? This is a really nice campaign page. A new wargame system set in early Napoleonic Wars. Okay, immersive historical setting. Who cares? I don't know what this cube pull activation system is. I mean, I assume you have a bunch of different actions and then you pull the cube off of them, but this is where the rule book would be great. I am interested in the rules. We thought I'd be reading through this, but I'm interested enough to take a little peek. Each turn starts by filling a cup with colored order cubes, to replenish the attack marker pools and drawing new cards in your hand. The cubes are then to be drawn one by one and acted upon, each representing a different game action. Players can also react to enemy moves by using order cubes saved in their reserve orders box. When a player side cube is drawn, French or coalition, they can either move a few blocks, play an event card, put the cube in reserve for later on, or perform some other minor action. Interesting. So if your things are pulled out, then you can do a number of different actions. Otherwise, you're just pulling cubes from a bag and see the yellow cube. Okay, it's drawn. You can do reinforcements. You can purchase extra cubes. When a red cube is drawn, each player will attack. So that's like the attack trigger. When a black cube is drawn, extra card draws, voluntary retreats, and turn end could occur. Cool. I like that. I think that's kind of exciting. You don't know if I'm going to get 5 actions in a turn. And like that may feel really weirdly unbalanced, but it also could be fairly exciting. 3 ways for players to win the game: demoralizing your opponent's army, controlling victory flag locations, special scenario victory condition. There's a 70 card deck, French cards, coalition cards, and then shared cards. 1 orange card. That's just the reshuffle everything. Cool. Event cards are used as in-game money to purchase reserve cubes and attack markers. Yeah, I think the cube system does seem fun. That's kind of what I wanted to see here. Cool. The morale, essentially you have a 10 track of morale, and then it flips over and you have another 10 track of bad morale. I think you maybe can't flip it back to its side. That would be interesting. Or probably takes, effects of bad morale. Oh, several serious disadvantages. Demoralization, victory, crossed flags. So whenever you not roll dice. There are no dice. When attacking, shift assault results 1 left. Disrupted blocks might have to withdraw. So just some bad stats for whenever you're fighting. Not bad. I think if you're interested in wargaming, this could be a neat one, mainly because of that cube pulling system. You'll still get all the kind of tactical moving people around on a map style sort of thing. However, it's probably very expensive. Oh, Battle Commander, this is the lowest price. It's €65, so 97 Canadian, and then shipping rates: the United States, €16, UK, €12, EU, €16, and you're gonna have to add VAT on that. Canada, €18. So yeah, it's like $120, $130 for me. I'm not like so compelled by the cube drawing system that I would ever purchase this. Oh, nice. The board game bags are still available for pledge. Those are nice bags. The backpack strap on one of my prototypes, the clasp kind of broke a little bit, but the side carrying strap on my BoardGameTables.com, All Play bag also snapped off. So it's probably just a cold Canadian winter. Anyway, if you're interested in Battle Commander Volume 1, that finishes at 6 p.m. on the 5th, which is Thursday. Up next, we have Captain's Log, New Horizons. It brings 2 exciting expansions. China and Portugal delves into colonial history with new upgrades and roles, while Myths and Legends, I thought China and Portugal were the 2, but that's 1. China and Portugal, and Myths and Legends adds fantasy to the game with mythical creatures, actions full of unexpected consequences. A historical and fantastical adventure awaits you. Well, let's find out what Captain's Log is all about, because if I've seen it before, I forget. I am brave. Oh, I forgot that I had headphones on. Look at that. You can't hear it, but they're playing Legally Distinct Pirates of the Caribbean right now. I think I do remember this one. I think it was on Kickstarter to start. I think it was pretty recent. Nope, apparently not. Just checked. I'm thinking of like that all Spanish one that was about pirate ships. I don't know, February 1st, March 2022. I should have covered it, but I didn't. It's a sandbox game set in a colonial era where players take on the role of ship captains, compete for fame by exploring, trading, and facing off against other nations. It is... for both expansions, it's €115, 172 Canadian. No, thank you. For one single one, it's €63 or 94 Canadian. For the reprint of Captain's Log, it's €85. That's $130 Canadian plus shipping. So probably $150. Oh, coming soon, a big box pack of 6. That's nice. So they're dealing with group buys. I like those. Got the seal of approval from Dice Tower. There you go. Standard mode. You have standard mode. You have expert mode. So you can sail. You can choose a destination. Sail with or against the winds. I feel like I've seen this. You know, when you look at 2,500 games, you think you'd remember every single one exactly. Explore, discover new islands and ports, expand your worlds. Maybe I haven't. Interact, dock at ports, enter fortified areas, fight, engage in ranged combat, inflict water or fire damage, player versus NPC. Upgrade, enhance your ship. No, I haven't seen it because I would remember this. Train your crew, upgrade your ship's cargo capacity, find the treasure, alliances, and trade. And then in the expert mode, you can incorporate a bunch of modules, roleplay, choose a famous pirate. So just asymmetric characters. Board, attack your opponent in a new combat style. Okay, that's not specific at all. Dynamic map, define your own map. Sure. More boards. Okay, this is just a garbage explanation. Boards and more boards. Oh, it's great. Here's some new features. There's actually an index. Wow. Expert mode is in green boxes. Perfect. Rule book includes examples. Great job. NPC roles, flowcharts. Sweet. And backers. Cool. Let's check it out. 60 pages. Okay, we're skimming. Lasting for 1 to 4 hours. Wow, long game. Begin with your choice of ship, light and fast, etc. Try to become the most renowned captain of the 7 seas. You can turn your ship into a feared warship, make it the fastest sailboat ever imagined. Board and plunder, trade, recruit crew. Okay, it's a sandbox. You set your limits. Hard cut, too. It's a sandbox. You set your limits. Of how much sand you're gonna eat. I thought you said lunchbox. Okay, we're not even focusing on anything in this world of ours. To enjoy all the eras, you have to spend $4,000 on a ticket. Taylor Swift. Oh, no, sorry. It's recommended to play to 21 points. Increased or decreased. Yeah, just play to whatever you want. How do you get fame points? You earn 2 barrel tokens. 3 barrels in the game with 1 or 2 players. Okay, sinking, destroying people, successfully boarding a ship. That's just an expert mode. Selling 4 identical goods in the market. Completing missions, discarding 4 missions of the same type, increasing the level of the ship. It seems, yeah, very slow. The standard board, acquired upgrades are indicated with player markers. In expert mode, physical components are used. I'm interested in looking at this this upgrade board in terms of the differences between these two. You can see there's a lot of different spots that you can load things into for the expert upgrading mode. I'm just kind of interested to see what those are all about. You can die if you don't have enough crew. You can add additional rowboats. You can add some more specialist upgrades. This one's a tough one for me. I also am on a bit of a time crunch, so that's not helpful either. Individual turn, you can do movement, action, action, movement. Just no movement. Each player is also assigned 1, 2, or 3 NPCs, depending on the number of players that have to be activated during the game. The NPCs can perform actions as well. So you can use your NPCs to screw somebody else over, essentially. If you're not playing solo, if you're playing like 2 or 3. It's sort of two-handing, but not. You have like a blocking faction, essentially. Cool, showing where the wind is, which determines how you can move. That'll kind of plan what you want to do. If you like navigating wind and currents, this is a game to look into, I guess. Then the actions: explore, inaction, trade, interact, range combat, repair, board, or melee combat. That seems kind of self-explanatory, you know? You'll reveal the map tiles, you'll set things up, you'll exchange, you'll interact with specific ports or barrels. Remember, barrels get you points as you're running around collecting these things, fighting and exploring. I'm trying to compare this to the most recent sandbox on the Crowdfunding Countdown, Western Legends, and the things that you can do, and are those things fun, right? That's what I'm trying to get a sense of right now. And I don't know. There you go. There's my professional opinion. I don't know. I always like upgrading certain things. I think the wind might be a little bit frustrating because then you can't do what you want, but then you have to have something that you plan against. I like that there are multiple objectives that you can run around and go get. The attacking is you roll dice, you modify, and then the target has a defense. They have upgrades, distance, right? All of that. So you can modify, give yourself the best chance to destroy the ship or not. It it's $150 though for this, plus additional stuff. You want more and more content. It just feels like a lot. But if you really want a robust, rip-roaring pirate experience, which, you know, 539 of you do. That finishes on 5th, Thursday at 6:59 p.m. Moving along to something that I have intimate knowledge of. Very intimate. It has been in and around my mouth. It's Lairs. Craft a cunning lair. Escape your rivals. Make your way through monsters, traps, treasures in this brisk 2-player duel for ages 10 and up. Here's all the stuff that's happened. This is by KDBG, Kids Table Board Gaming. And if you missed it, I did a playthrough of this with my good friend Zach, where we upped the stakes, and every time we fell into one of our traps, we had to take a shot of something mysterious from my fridge. Any liquid was allowed, not alcohol, but and no fat. But there certainly was some feta cheese brine in one of my concoctions, or one that I had to drink, and that was horrendous. Honestly, it was a very fun playthrough. You should go watch it because I think it's a more entertaining video than Crowdfunding Countdown is. So I don't know if you knew this, but I can make some entertaining videos once upon a time, and I think it's pretty funny. But I always like doing playthroughs with Zach. That's why it's great whenever we get a sponsored playthrough, so that I can afford to pay him to be my friend. So Lairs is really good. I mean, I think we're on this campaign page as well. Base Lairs is all you need. $49 US, 69 Canadian. You can get Lairs in deeper dungeons, which does seem cool, because I know what they've added, and I think most people are getting that, yeah. Oof. 82 US, 115 Canadian, it's like 130. It's very expensive. I probably would just go for the regular bundle, because it was such a good time. Like, I don't feel like I need to upsell myself. I think that base bundle could be fun, although the deeper dungeons does give you the ability to make an even bigger map, does have some excitement if you want to extend the time of the game, which is pretty cool. So Lairs, in case you missed the video, well, you should go check it out. You build your map, you build your dungeon, you get 20 walls, and you put them out. You need to put these hungry blobs and these greasy little pits on there, and you're going to sketch out. You're going to move somewhere, and they're going to tell you everything that's around it. Have you stumbled into a trap? Have you stumbled into a monster? Have you stumbled into a chest? Every time you stumble into a treasure chest, you get some treasure, and these treasure are surprisingly a lot more fun than they seem like they should be. It's just a simple set collection style. You want to chain together what your treasures are worth, and then at the end of the game you pick 4 of them. If you can have a total of 6, but you pick 4, which is fun. It enables you to get that little bonus points and that thrill of getting treasure. In order on your turn, you have these cubes, and there's cubes in the fresh or the spent or the fatigue category, and you push them from fresh to spent. If you have cubes in fresh, you can take actions. If you don't, then you can't. And then everything moves 1 spot to the left. So everything that's in spent goes back to fresh. Everything that's been fatigued, essentially when you run into a trap or something, you get penalized, so you won't get to use those for a while. Then the fatigued would go into spent, and then the next turn it would go into fresh. In addition, you can also save up to 3 cubes if you're not sure of what to do, and honestly, you should probably do that a little bit more than I did. Then there's a bunch of secret packages, which I've seen box 1 and box 2. I have no idea what's in box 3 and box 4. I'm not allowed to talk about what's in box 1 and box 2, but you can click here. You can click here to spoil that little surprise, and get ready for the spoiler happening right now. It's just more stuff. It's more stuff. It's like more monsters, right? More extra rules, different cubes. But the way that they feel like they're going to be progressing forward seems really cool. Both Zach and I agreed, we're like, this can only like enhance the game. And we thought that the base game, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it as a base game too. Secret package inventory. Here's what you get. Oh, here you go. Look at this. An overview of what comes in the 4 tuck boxes. People are like, we don't want to let you keep any secret content, even though we have no problem with any campaign game saying everything is mysterious. We can't spoil anything. What, you can't spoil the gameplay? Nope, that would be a spoiler. Okay, but like Lairs, you have the actual gameplay, and it's just clearly that you're going to add additional rules. And people are like, we need to know! Like, I get it, but also look at your campaign games on your shelf. You didn't know how any of them worked. You didn't know what was in them. It's cards. Oh, 100 cards? Okay, cool. 100 pages of storybook? Great. Anyway, that's a tangent. 14 monster cards, plus 1 from stretch goal. Wow, 14 monster cards? 16 wooden monsters? That's bananas. I played 1 of them. 10 trap cards? Oh, that's so good. 18 removable labels. That means 9 different additional rules. So the deeper dungeons gives you a bigger board by 3 additional spaces and 1 additional space wide. 3 by 1 extra. It gives you multiplayer mode, 1 builder versus 2 or 3 explorers in a multi-leveled lair with 1 exit. That's kind of cool. The explorers win if they all escape before time runs out of the hourglass, or if they collectively meet a target score. The builder wins if the explorers fail. This is fun. This is like what Psychic Pizza Deliverers Go to a Ghost Town kind of has, that you have 1 person running the whole thing. I like when it's competitive. I like that you're competing because you get both the thrill of building it and the thrill of running it. And so I think it's going to be less exciting to do the multiplayer, but I also think you could do like a 3-way, just in a triangle. They can use diabolical twist cards to throw unexpected problems in the explorer's way. That's kind of fun. Everything from 2-player mode and larger dungeons to playing with 3 explorers. Cool. Lair building. Okay, they use both boards, upper and lower level. That's fun. Set up both screens so they're hidden. There's only 1 exit. There's only 1 start tile. They're not informed which level they're starting on. The builder has to include one pair of ladders. The builder places a normal amount of hazards and goals. The builder uses 34 to 40 walls for 2 explorers, between 50 to 56 walls for 3 explorers. Wow. As you all run around. Yeah, this could be fun, but I don't think it would be the optimal way to play. I think it's more kind of like, it's the gimmick, and it's like, oh, that's kind of fun, but you would want to play it at the head-to-head. Each explorer works as usual. They're told their starting coordinates, but not which level they're on. And when you come across a ladder, it's like, this is an up ladder. So then when you come across a ladder, you know what level. They're allowed to look at other players' maps to help get a sense of where things are, but they may not draw anything on their own maps that their explorer didn't learn about in the usual game. That's interesting. Okay, so you can't use it because there's a backtracking cube. So if you use a cube, you can run through all the things you've explored. So you still have to physically explore spaces if you want to get to a spot, which I like. I think that's cool. Yeah, and then you have a target score. Yeah, seems fun. Boss monsters. See, the boss monsters could be cool. Characters? Skill, gear, and unique advantages? Okay, that seems fun. So there is some value, some potential value for this deeper dungeons, but I think the multiplayer mode is not that. I think you should get excited about the boss monsters and characters, which honestly, I kind of am. Dry erase boards, an additional $10, $7 US. It's tricky, right? There's the potential you could just laminate it. I like the feeling of the paper because dry erase you kind of smudge, and it was a pretty big stack. You're probably fine, and you could probably just print out additional. I'm sure that they will have the file that you could print out, so I don't think you need that. And then you can add some KDBG stuff to your pledge. Maki Master, which used to be called Sushi Roll or Wasabi, well, looks okay. Was okay. I've played it. It's just fine. Lairs is significantly better. Dice Veggies I've heard is really good. Yeah, you can check out the rules. The stretch goals that they have unlocked are the additional secret envelope, a little pin, which I don't really care about. Monster card, cool. Secret envelope, great. A 6 secret envelope. Oh, cool. Nice. Ethereal orb, chain snare, so another thing. A dice upgrade. Cool. The hand carved look is pretty cool. Although I thought the pips were fine too. Obsidian Orb, and the bigger box. For the Kickstarter edition only, they'll increase the box depth. Add interior engineering is needed to ensure that everything from deeper dungeons and up to 6 dry erase boards will fit into the base game box. Nice. Cool. Nice little bits of pledge of upgrades, etc. Where's mine? Oh, you have to click on mine. If you click on mine right here, shabam, it'll take you to the playthrough. Yeah, not the final thoughts. There's also final thoughts, which we're just very complimentary. I think our playthrough video is the most exciting, so if you want to watch one, you should watch mine. But yeah, it's a super fun game. Really, really quite enjoyed it, and enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to as well, which I think is pretty important. This is one that, like, I don't know, I hope they send me a copy, you know? I want them to send me a copy. I'd be happy to have a copy on my shelf. I think they might, but it was also a paid playthrough, so I got paid money for it, so maybe I should just buy a copy. I don't know. If you're interested, the finish is Thursday, December 5th at 9 p.m. It really was quite fun, so I highly recommend checking out the video. The shipping, though, to Canada is 24 Canadian, so even that base game is 70 Canadian, 94 Canadian. It's pricey, right? You may want to wait for retail, because KDBG kind of come to retail. I think you would be okay with the retail version. I don't think you need deeper dungeons. So you could wait for that retail aspect. Or even better, contact your retail store and be like, hey, I want to get this thing. And then they can make an order for you, you know, and you can then save the shipping potentially. Because I think it's potentially worth, 70 Canadian, 50 US. That as prices are going up, that feels, I don't know, it's a fun game. What can I say? That finishes Thursday, December 5th at 9 p.m. We're going to move on. But I gotta move on. So I'll be back at some time. It's gonna be instant for you. Bam. Okay, let's move along to Pocket Puffins, an 18-card solo game. A cute, cozy, puzzly game for one player. Help these puffins survive the blizzard. Help these puffins survive the blizzard by arranging them into patterns and building igloos. 114 backers. That's not bad for a little $3 print and play game. Let's check it out. Cozy, cute, puzzly, solo. Help. That's, I think, what the voiceover should have been. Keep the puffins warm. I didn't read that. I was too distracted. Oh, so it's kind of like Ada's Library, if I am thinking of the right game. You're making a little pattern of puffins by moving the puffins around. You want to hit a certain goal of puffins. You have a certain number of puffins, and then you have to use the cards to move these puffins around. Cute little $3 print and play. Oh, that's also nice. There's a secondary condition where you're completing igloos. So each puffin has kind of half of an igloo, and you'll want to create additional igloos, which makes for a little bit more of an interesting challenge for moving these things around and shifting them. If you complete all the patterns before running out of movement, you win. If not, then you don't. You used your movement, you keep on going through. Yeah, cute enough. If you like those little shifting puzzle games, it's $3 if you want the print to play. The finish is Thursday, December 5th at 11:59 p.m. Moving along to Mech Bunny, the solo game of the month. You are a mech bunny, a small rabbit and a giant robot. Fun. After crash landing on a strange planet, you must gather the resources and fend off plant monsters long enough to fix your ship and get back home. Use card crafting to upgrade your deck of weapon cards and create crazy combos. As you move around the planet, take on the floral horde. This seems interesting. I like the idea of this card crafting. I don't know what these tiles do, but we're going to find out. You play through various scenarios full of hordes of encroaching monsters trying to destroy your spaceship, so you got to defend your spaceship. There's a bunch of Mech Bunny cards, 40 transparent cards, so that's how you're going to be card crafting and upgrading your stuff. 12 location cards, a tracker card, transparent sleeves, Mech Bunny, and some monster hexes and environment hexes. Okay. You'll use your cards to move and create combos. You see how it starts off really slow, and you'll be upgrading those as you go through. Defeat monsters to level up and upgrade your cards. Defend your spaceship, complete objectives to win. Complete scenarios to unlock new weapons, adding those cards to your deck. Rulebook coming soon. Oh, no. Gabe Barrett, what have you done to me? Oh, let's refresh. Did it come? Did it come since I clicked on this? Because I've been doing this over the course of the week. Rulebook coming soon. That's a real bummer. I like this idea. I mean, okay, we can make some logical conclusions anytime. There are a bunch of monster hexes, right? There's all these environment hexes. So it looks like you're going to flip over a monster hex. You're going to push something in. I don't know. I guess there's probably videos too. Yeah, Mech Bunny, how to play. How long are you? All right, so essentially there's six tiles out here. These are your locations, your ship's down there. You can move. Anytime you move, you kind of move one space. So it makes a little bit of a grid map. And then there'll be objectives at these different tiles. There will also be these monsters that spawn there, and you will use your cards to attack and defeat the monsters. And I think every time you do, I haven't gotten to that part yet, but every time you do, you probably get to add a little sleeve on it. Let's assume that's what it is. Again, shipping is great. $5 shipping to the US, $6 to Canada. Very good. And these solo games are always $24, so it's 34 Canadian, so it's like $40 for this game. Potentially reasonable. I think card crafting is always a tricky one. The premise of this game, this push for this game seems okay, but again, I would want to check out the rulebook before you would pledge to see how often you cycle your cards, how often you go through your cards, how many sheets you're going to add on, what are the upgrades you can do on those sheets. But it seems like, again, a fairly decent amount of stuff that you're getting for the 29. I've always felt that, or the 24. I've always felt that these solo games have been pretty consistent, good value, and I think that is holding here if you're interested. So if you're interested in that, that finishes on the 6th at 12 a.m. I was going to cover this, but there just really isn't enough information about it on the page to see what sort of game it is, and it's also not funding right now, and I don't feel like it's going to get there. It might get there, but I don't think it's we're going to move on to this one. Rabbit's Potion. Become a rabbit alchemist and create magical potions in the brain-burning roll and write game, whose picture just changed. Look at that. A much better picture. Yeah. Okay, this is neat. This is from Radislaw Ignatiou, pronounced perfectly, who has designed a bunch of little roll and write games. I thought Roll and Meow looked fun. I remember Space and Loan looked fine, but he's had a lot of practice in the roll and write genre, and clearly people keep coming back, so that's great for him. You can get a core print and play for €5, which is sweet, or an all-in print and play for €10. 267 backers having done that. Essentially, you'll be moving around on this grid, this map, collecting ingredients and adding them to potion bottles so that you can complete contracts and recipes, which are just like not polyomino, but spatially putting these ingredients in a certain way so that they can complete as potions. These tasks that you're completing will be randomized, and every turn you'll roll 4d6, use the dice pool for moving on the map, choosing bottles, choosing extracts, or special actions. You'll add the ingredients to your bottles to obtain the required number of points before 10 turns pass. Just for one player. Well, it's 1 plus player, but it looks like it's kind of solo-based. Great that they have a little draft rulebook. To win the game, you have to earn 195 points, which is the sum of all 3 basic task levels. It seems like the most convoluted point scoring system ever, but sure. Whenever you're gathering ingredients, also you have to add these contaminations so they will kind of block up spots in your bottle. Oh, cool. You can also combine your dice if you need to get a specific value. So if like you need a 6, you can go ahead. And you collect all the ingredients in a specific row, so you're timing that out. So maybe if you're playing with more people, this feels like a solo game though. That's kind of what I expected. Yeah, again, €5 for a little print and play. If you like the print and plays, check it out. This one again looks sound. I'm not really a print and play person because I'm lazy. But if you're not a bag of garbage, well, check it out. That finishes Friday, December 6th at 4 p.m. Moving along to this one, Dungeons of Doria, the reprint and the expansion. It's a cooperative roguelite loot crawler in which 1 to 6 players explore mostly random dungeons where unique monsters and traps lurk after each door. Get the base game with German or English as well as the first expansion. A bunch of cards. This one's been doing, decently well. It's almost at 100,000 Canadian. Cooperative Roguelite Loot Crawler by Victor Ahrens. There's no retail, which makes sense. A lot of crowdfunding won't be big enough to get into retail. For the all-in and the expansions, €100. That feels maybe okay. Returning backer all-in expansion upgrade, 47. The base game is €83. So at that point, you might as well go for this very small upsell for these arcane abominations. Let's see if it's any good. Gameplay and rules. Oh, it's after the shipping. Shipping, okay, we'll look at it. It's Germany 15, no base game and expansion, which is probably the thing that everybody's getting. So 23 to Germany, 18 to the UK, 28 to EU, US, Canada, €38. So again, this is a $200 game, right? You can play one-shot single scenarios, 20 scenarios included, or play one of 4 bigger campaigns with 8+ scenarios each. That's pretty cool. Or play a random boss monster encounter using optional door and room events. It's fully up to you, however the mood strikes you. See the original Kickstarter for more components and how to play. Okay. When was this? Because I might have already looked at this. August 2022, Dungeons of Doria. Yeah, I did look at this. Episode 56. What does Past Chris have to say? I forgot I did an ad for this. It was $90 Canadian, €69. Nope, we're not covering this yet, but not even this week. You can find the current rulebook here, which is great. But Chris of the past actually summarized it in a much more succinct way than I could ever. So go back and watch that episode of Crowdfunding Countdown and see back when Chris had light and life in his eyes and Olive Garden on his head, like literal Olive Garden, a bowl of pasta. That's what I was doing that one with. Chris of the past seemed to think that this was a very standard dungeon crawling experience with the focus on if you like loot, then you'll like this game. If you want to get mounds of loot cards, if you want to just do stat checks and compare it to your characters, then this is a totally passable, fine, solid, standard dungeon crawler. But if you're looking for innovation, not necessarily the ticket, right? Even just looking at the table of contents I find in a dungeon crawler is very interesting because it can tell you how much emphasis there is on like minutia, how much emphasis there is on different spells, different attacks, how laborious will combat be. 1 AP. Jumping, 5 AP. Ooh, 2 pages of jumping? I think it seems cool, but I think this is the sort of game that if you've played a bunch of dungeon crawlers and you want something solid, unoffensive, familiar, that's the sort of thing to look at. If you're interested in that finishes on the 6th at 6 p.m., you can go listen to Chris of the Past. But it's nice, good for them. Raised €51,000 right in the past, and it has raised €67,000. So it has done better as it has gone out. And that's, I think, a good measure of its success and it doing what it says it will do. We're going to move along to Tatsumi by Adam's Apple Games. This isn't doing that well whatsoever, but I'm interested to check it out for sure because Adam's Apple's Games did Planet Unknown, and that's something that I backed, so maybe I'll back this one. Who knows? Probably not if it's just like a Suro clone, but we'll see. This does seem fun. This does seem pretty cool. Brought to you by the creators of Planet Unknown. You can see the emphasis of Planet Unknown or the DNA of Planet Unknown in this through the asymmetry of your own island board. Essentially, you're going to be moving your dragon around. Whatever you leave, you take that out of that spot, and then wherever you land, you can also gather additional rings. Or you can complete objectives, which will then let you add the rings onto your map, which all have different asymmetric. Combined Dragon and Islands to unlock 25 different playable combinations for tactics and puzzles. Okay, well, you have 4 dragons, so what does that mean? You have 4 islands? No, it's 25, so it's 5 factorial? 6 or 7 islands? I don't know. Oh, and you can only move in a single direction as far as you wish, so you have to move in a line. Also adds a little bit more pre-planning. There are 4 different colors, but a pretty simple concept. Oh, right, the third action that you can do is Shed Scale, which is gaining a unique benefit. If you've collected enough scales, you can then place your scales onto the chosen sanctuary card, and you gain that ability for the rest of the game, which is cool. You can get that asymmetry as well. Yeah, this seems neat. It's probably going to be pretty expensive. I mean, the limited edition pledge is 55 US, 78 Canadian. What's the standard edition? Limited edition gives you screen printed dragons and rings and other tokens in wood. These give you single color wooden dragons and rings, all other tokens in cardboard. For 57. Yeah, 40 bucks US, 57 Canadian. I would go for standard. I don't think the upsell feels anything interesting. Inside the box, you get 4 dragon figures, wooden rings, 4 island boards, a symmetric front, and a unique back. Yeah. So 5, I was right. 4, and 5. Shipping to Canada is $10. That's nice. US, $7. Great. That's really nice to see. It makes it potentially manageable. They're accepting group pledges to optimize value for a group, save on shipping together. $3 per copy. And you can get, a $3 per copy discount for each limited edition shipped in the full master carton, which is nice. It's always nice when they do like a little bit of a discount, plus you save money on the shipping as well by doing it together. So you could then, if you're doing group buy, make this 52. I still would just go for standard, personally, but I could see how people would upsell themselves in that aspect. Yeah, seems interesting. Doesn't, like, completely blow me away, but I can see the inner workings, and one of the big shining parts about Planet Unknown is the asymmetry of the boards. So I'm willing to give them some excitement based around their success on Planet Unknown, and some grace that these will be interesting asymmetric ones as well. But if you're interested in that, the finishes at 8 p.m. on the 6th. And move over, Choose Your Own Adventures, because we've got this, which I had to click on. I wanted to see what I was doing. Advanced Kinks and Cantrips. Will I expose myself if I say I don't know what a cantrip is? Oh, it's a magical spell of any kind. One that reads the same forward as it does backwards. Great. I'm always interested in like RPG content that tries to give like robust RPG experiences while also like being adult content. But if you want to portray the kinky character of your dreams, you have 26 subclass options here. 60 spells, 30 magic items, and 30 feats, not to be confused with 30 foot fetishisms, also present in the book. Now this is advanced. It's advanced, so maybe you need to start with the original one. I don't know, it's raised a bunch of money. Go check it out if you're interested. That's Saturday, December 7th at 8:41 a.m. I'm not here to kink shame you. In fact, I'm here to kink celebrate you. We're moving along to Star Chart, a 1 to 8 player constellation matching card game. Draw your star chart by stacking cards and find the constellations contained therein. 34 backers. Sure, let's look. Oh, 35 backers. My mistake. Okay, this seems kind of neat. There'll be constellations that are out there. You're trying to create the star chart, which is this on the edge of your card that you're adding to your star chart. It'll make patterns, and you're trying to complete these patterns before anybody else. You also are forced to pass cards to the player on your right as well every turn. So you get a little bit more cycle. You can get rid of the cards that you don't like. First person to win 15 points wins. I don't know how these constellations get into the night sky, but I assume they're just dealt randomly. I don't know. Or you can also use an ability as well. You can use these abilities once per game, but like Sagrada-esque, where you have these limited abilities to help you reshape certain things. You're trying to score these different patterns. So if there's 3 red in a row, you've made the little snail star. If you've ever gazed out and looked into the stars, well, you might be filled with joy at this. I've seen the stars before. I know, the Little Dipper. Guess I gotta practice. I mean, it's a pretty self-explanatory game. Very, very easy. I just want to see how these constellations go. Oh, they're probably just dealt out. They're dealt out to be in between people so that you and your partner, you and your neighbor are competing against them, and the passing continues. I wonder if you change the way you pass. It doesn't seem like it. So you're always going to have an advantage to take cards from one side, because you'll be passing cards that won't help for those specific things, and to be getting cards that won't help for those specific things. I kind of wish that they would flip the passing back and forth. But yeah, seems cute. Definitely seems cute. This is one of those like little cute games. Print and play for $7 US, $7 Canadian, and a single copy for $30 Canadian. It's just a bunch of cards. Postage is calculated at pledge. If you back the Cosmos Empires expansion, has unfulfilled rewards. Oh yeah, so shipping makes it double. Dang, it's like $60. I wouldn't want to pay $60 for this. I would be interested in 30. That, like, interesting pattern matching, totally fine. The shipping kills it for me, but, you know, what can you do? If you're interested, the finish is Saturday, December 7th at 11:02 a.m. p.m. And finally for the week, I think this is going to be finally, again, I'm going to keep the other ones for next week. We have Runes the Game, strategic tile placement game with mystical runes and an exciting twist. Discover unique rituals that turn the game upside down. I imagine you'll be turning the tiles upside down. I imagine that's what that means. Let's check it out. Yeah, this one seems pretty slick as well. This is better than I expected it to be. Strategic tile placement game for 2 to 5 players. You'll have a bunch of tiles in front of you. How many? 3 of them? You'll have three tiles in front of you. You're probably just drawing them randomly off the top. You're going to place one out and you're trying to connect runes. These little connection points. The more runes you connect, the better your connections will be, the more coins you'll get to put onto the board. But that's not all, because you also get to put additional coins down if you create lines or circles, and so you have that additional pattern matching idea. You also, if you have a gold rune, you put double the coins. A black rune, you get these ritual cards, which are like one-time effect, and be the first person to run out of coins, you win. You can also steal rune stones from people, which I think is going to be a huge crux of a game. If things match more than they did previously, you can then place something over top, steal the rune, and probably bump it back to someone, which I think is going to be the crux of the game, because you can then, that's the only way you could potentially negatively affect your people. How much are you? Oh no, 37 euro. Dang, 37 euro. You get 72 runestones, 200 coins, just plastic. And then shipping is, local pickup is 0. However, if you're not in Germany, oh, it's actually $1 more. It's 38 euro. Oof. Plus shipping. If you're not in Germany, 10 euro. US 15 to 18 euro, Canada 25 euro. It's like an $80 to $90 game for me. You know, there's no world in which this earns that cost. But I think it looks fun. You know, I think it definitely looks fun. Just isn't something that I would ever buy. I would play it. I'd play it once. I'd be like, yeah, this is fine. And then I'd never think about it again. Kind of how I feel about, well, a lot of crowdfunding games. And you should too. Don't buy anything. Just play the games you have. That finishes Sunday, December 8th at 5:59 p.m. And that's it. That's going to be it for the week. Now, every week I do a pick for me and a pick for you. The pick for me being the thing that I think is the most mechanically interesting, the most likely game that I would add to my shelf, let's say. And the pick for you being the thing that I think if you get, you would regret the least. You still might regret it, and you still might not be allowed to purchase it in your heart of hearts, but you would regret it maybe the least. But before we do that, let me refresh my memory, and we'll do a little crowdfunding grunt down. Oh, we look like a friggin' gecko. Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. Yeah, meh, yeah, 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 meh, yeah. It's that kind of week. Ooh, yeah, and meh. All right, I'm surprised. I didn't think it would go this way. I mean, the pick for me is going to be Lairs. We all knew that. I really liked playing Lairs. I enjoyed playing it with Zach. I think it's very fun. I think they make good quality stuff. I think the standard edition is completely fine. So that would be the pick for me. Go check out the playthrough if you haven't, because again, I think it's very funny. I think the pick for you is going to be Star Chart. I think this seems like simple. I think the passing in one direction is dumb, in that everybody's going to have their own specific constellations that are like only they're going to be able to complete. And it'll really be just luck of the draw on how you can complete your star charts. Now that I'm thinking it through, maybe it's really not that good, but I think it's the best one of the week. I know you wanted me to say Lands of Evershade, and I know you wanted me to say World Order, but I think they'll be fine. I think they'll just be fine. But everybody's going gaga for Lands of Evershade, so I'm not going to be the one to push you over the edge. I'm the one who's preaching restraint. Maybe there's no pick for you. I changed my mind. Star Chart's just, it seems okay as well. Kind of a bit of a meh week, but next week I think we're going to be able to finish up strong with Crowdfunding Countdown for likely the remainder of the year. That's why I wanted to leave those for that final week, that final remainder. And then, of course, we'll do some retrospectives on crowdfunding. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here week after week. Episode 166 and at least one more. I appreciate you all. My name's Chris George. I don't have a catchphrase, but I hope you are all doing well. I hope you're having a great day and you continue to have great days. That's what I want. That's what I really want. What I really, really want. Okay, bye.